scroll his presentation, please? Mr. Jonathan has not joined. I think his pre-recorded speech is required to be played.
Mr. A.K. Singh, otherwise?
A.K. Singh Saab, Mr. A.K. Singh, if you could kindly join. You have already joined. A.K. Singh Saab, you need to unmute yourself and then share your screen. A.K. Singh Saab is requested to kindly unmute himself.
Good morning. Good morning, Sharma ji.
Good morning, sir.
Sir, you can play my recording.
A.K. Singh Saab is requesting for playing his pre-recorded speech.
Okay. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
शर्मा साहब आप ऑडिबल हैं.
Hello.
Organizers, please play the pre-recorded speech of A.K. Singh Saab.
वॉल्यूम कैसे बढ़ाना है?
Virtual MNC host is requested to kindly play the pre-recorded speech of A.K. Singh Saab.
Dear participants, Namaste. I am A.K. Singh from THDC India Limited. My presentation is about the role of storage dams during the climate change and extreme events. With the example role Dheri Dam played during the extreme events of 2020 of Uttarakhand state. My outline of my presentation is water availability scenario in Indian rivers, thereafter changing rainfall patterns for the Himalayan region, role of storage dams in management of river flows, a brief introduction of Dheri Dam project, and role Dheri Dam played in conservation and control of rivers. Water availability scenario in Indian rivers blessed by small and large river basins. Out of which Ganga basin is the largest one. The Ganga river originates from Himalayas and terminates in the Bay of Bengal, and it passes through Uttarakhand, UP, Bihar, and West Bengal. Its surrounding watershed supports one of the most fertile and healthy populated regions on the planet. And totally, it supports 400 billion people. So, rivers and mountains are of great significance in the history of Indian cultural development, but the ecosystem still needs more attention and effort. 70% of the annual rainfall in India takes place under the influence of southwest monsoon between June to September. This is the map showing onset and withdrawal dates of southwest monsoon over India. Southwest monsoon strikes Kerala coast on the first week of April, and it takes around 1.5 months to cover the entire country. From the map, it is also evident that duration of active monsoon varies from 4.5 months over the southern region to 1.5 months over the northern region. Despite having so many river basins, around 68% of the country is prone to drought, out of which about 33% part of the country is chronically drought prone, just because of uneven distribution of rainfall across the country. We receive substantial amount of excess of flood water during monsoon, and it goes waste, whereas many parts of the country and large population faces water scarcity. Moreover, flood water during monsoon devastates the lives of population along the rivers because it is not being stored properly. Change in rainfall pattern over Himalayan region. Himalayan region is prone to rapidly changing weather due to its topography, geology, tectonic activities, and ecological fragility. Anthropogenic factors are also attributable to extreme weather events in the Himalayas. The extreme events of cloudburst, glacial lake outburst floods, and significant changes in distribution of rainfall over space and time are common. As per reports, cloudburst-like events in the Himalayas increased rapidly from an average of 5 days per year between 2001 and 2005 to over 15 days per year between 2006 and 2013. These are the photographs showing impact of flash flood caused due to cloudbursts. High intensity rainfall events are increasing, but the average number of rain days have reduced from around 18 per year to 65 per year during previous decade only. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change also observed that glaciers in the Himalayas are receding faster than in any other mountain range. Glacial lakes, which are more prone to bursting during monsoon rains. Flash flood of Kargil in May 2016 was an example of this phenomenon. Mountains are not only getting affected by climate change, but they are also attributable to climate change because of enormous deposits of water in the form of glaciers, ice, and snow. Himalayan Tibetan Basin Massif is warming at the rate of 0.15 to 0.6 degrees centigrade per decade in the past 3 decades, and which is wreaking havoc on the monsoonal patterns in the Himalayan region. When distribution of water over time and space is becoming highly uneven and extreme events are increasing in Himalayan region, large reservoir dams could play an important role in maintaining the ecological balance. Coming over to role of storage dams in management of river flows. Reservoirs are the most important component of a water resource development scheme because they can regulate natural stream flow and modify the temporal and spatial availability of water throughout the year. Reservoirs store flood water temporarily and moderate downstream peak inflows to protect the downstream areas from flood damages. The excess water stored during monsoon can be used for consumptive usage of population. Now the Tihri Dam project. Tihri Dam project is a 1000 megawatt project on river Bhagirathi, which is a tributary of river Ganga. It is a multi-purpose project to store surplus water of river Bhagirathi during monsoon and releasing the stored water after monsoon as per the irrigation requirement of state of Uttar Pradesh and drinking water requirement of state of Delhi and state of Uttar Pradesh. And this project also provides peaking support to the northern grid, and project is operational since year 2007. Tihri Dam is 260.5 meter high rock and earthfill type dam, having length 575 meter. Its top is 839.5 meter, which we can see from this cross section. Reservoir spread is 42 square kilometer with live storage capacity of 2615 meter. FRL is 830 meter and MWL is 835 meter. MDDL is 740 meter. Its spillway system is designed to cater 1 in 10,000 years return period flood, having peak discharge of 15,540 cumex. And it consists of 3 spillways: gated chute spillway with crest at 815 meter, gated left bank shaft spillway with crest at 815 meter, ungated right bank shaft spillway with crest at 830.2 meter. Chute spillway and left bank shaft spillway are regular spillways, whereas right bank shaft spillway is an emergency spillway which comes into operation automatically when the water level tends to rise above EL 830.2 because of any of the region. This is chute spillway having capacity of 5,500 cumex discharge. This is intake of left bank shaft spillway having capacity of 3,800 cumex discharge. This is ungated right bank shaft spillway having capacity of 3,900 cumex discharge. This is right bank shaft spillway in operation. Coming over to operation of spillway sequence. Sequence of operation of spillways can be better understood with this animation. Chute spillway comes into operation first, followed by the left bank shaft spillway, and finally the right bank shaft spillway comes into operation first when water level tends to rise above EL 830.2 meter. This is powerhouse. It houses 4 turbines of 250 megawatt each. Role Tihri Dam can play during flash flood and flood control. Tihri Reservoir Operation Cycle. Reservoir Operation Cycle begins from 21st June when southwest monsoon becomes active over northern region. Reservoir is depleted to MDDL every year by 20th June. Starting from 21st June up to 31st October, excess water is stored in the reservoir to achieve FRL. From 1st November till 20th June, stored water is released as per irrigation and drinking water requirement. Stored water is for the intended use of downstream population. 300 cusecs of water is allocated to Delhi for drinking purpose. 200 cusecs is allocated to UP state for drinking purpose. And it provides irrigation support to about 8.74 lakh hectare land of UP and Uttarakhand. Prevention of flood by Tihri Dam. Tihri Dam is capable to regulate a flood having peak discharge of 15,540 cumex to mitigate the impact of flood in the downstream. And it played crucial role during the floods of 2010, 11 and 13 in averting the floods of higher order in the river Ganga by modifying the high flood discharge of Bhagirathi. This is the right bank shaft spillway in operation. Coming over to Uttarakhand disaster, June 2013. Disaster occurred due to widespread heavy rains over Uttarakhand from 15 to 18 June, resulting 385 mm rainfall against normal value of 71.3 mm. Complete basin of river Ganga was under the influence of these rains. Ganga, along with its main tributaries Bhagirathi and Alaknanda, started swelling by the evening of 16. Glacial lake burst also increased discharge in the river Alaknanda tremendously. River Bhagirathi and Alaknanda meet at Devprayag to form Ganga, and Devprayag is just downstream of the Koteswar Dam of Tihri Hydropower Complex. As a result of heavy discharge in all the tributaries, discharge in Ganga at Devprayag and downstream of it also increased tremendously. flood control on 16 and 17 June by Tihri Dam. This is an example. Actual peak discharge of river Bhagirathi was recorded as 7,500 cumecs, out of which only 500 cumecs was being released from Tihri Dam. The stored water resulted a rise in Tihri reservoir level about 25 meter in just 2 days. If this water had not been stored in Tihri reservoir, it reached Rishikesh after 10 hours and Haridwar after 12 hours. And it caused a rise in water level about 2 to 3 meter at Rishikesh and 1.5 to 2 meter at Haridwar. For example, peak discharge at Haridwar was recorded as 15,500 cumecs without the flood of Bhagirathi. And with the Bhagirathi flood, it could have reached up to 22,000 cumecs. Maximum water level was recorded as 295.9 meter, and it was already 1.9 meter high above the danger level. This we can better understood with these graphs. This is the inflow and outflow graph at Tihri. Blue line is showing the outflow from Tihri Dam, whereas red line is showing the inflow at Tihri. Difference between the red and blue line, this much discharge was stored in Tihri reservoir. This is the graph showing actual observed inflow at Rishikesh and anticipated inflow. Blue line is showing the actual inflow at Rishikesh, whereas red line is showing the anticipated inflow at Rishikesh. If actual inflow at Tihri superimposed with 10 hours lag time. Similarly, this graph, blue line is showing the actual inflow at Haridwar, which was recorded, and red line is showing the anticipated inflow at Haridwar, if actual inflow at Tihri superimposed with 12 hours lag time. So the discharge could have increased from 15,000 cumecs to 22,000 cumecs at Haridwar. Now the conclusion of this presentation. Extreme events of cloudburst are increasing in the Himalayan region drastically, and Uttarakhand witnessed 23 such incidents in 2019 against 13 in 2018. Rainfall distribution is quite uneven, though overall rainfall in the country was normal. Uttarakhand received about 18% less rainfall in 2019. No other structure than storage dam could be helpful in protecting people from floods caused by extreme events because of their limited storage capacity. We need storage dams on each and every major river to exploit the potential and saving the lives from extreme events. The concern of local people should be taken care of by locating and maintaining the dams so that they could remain safe. Dam safety guidelines to be prepared in time. PhDC dam adhering to dam safety guidelines and also review dam safety program from time to time. THDC implemented real-time inflow forecasting system and advanced early warning system for Tihri and Koteshwar Dam project to ensure the safety of downstream population. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. A.K. Singh, for a very nice presentation on the Tehri Dam. Now, I would request the host to kindly play the pre-recorded presentation of NHPC.
Hello.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Sir, I want to present it right now myself. I don't want the presentation to be played. Can I do that?
Yeah, certainly. Why not?
So I'll share my screen and I'll start the presentation.
Certainly, certainly. I hope you have the privileges to share the screen.
Yes, I have that.
Yeah, please. Great. Go ahead with.
Okay, thank you. How do I start my video? Okay, is my screen visible? Hello?
Yes, ma'am, visual.
Yeah, it is visible. Am I audible also?
Yes.
Okay.
Just make the full screen. That's it.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah, so good morning, everybody. Today, my presentation is on analysis of artificial lake formed on River Futkal and the management of this outburst flood at Nimavasgo Dam. So this is just a brief overview of the landslides in Himalayas. As we all know that a combination of various factors such as extremely high mountains, seismic activity, steep slopes, and various other regions cause a number of natural hazards, including landslides, flash floods, avalanches, etc. And the landslide, as per NDMA, they affect about 15% of the area of our country. The landslides also form natural dams as they block the course of rivers. And blocking of these rivers may lead to formation of lakes behind the dams, which has been observed in a number of places in the recent past. A combination of steep slopes and poor road cohesion on the unvegetated hill slopes make the Ladakh Valley highly susceptible to landslides in the form of rockfalls, debris, and mudflows. The natural dams thus formed due to these landslides are made up of fine debris and are quite porous. They are vulnerable to breach by cavity formation and overtopping. Like recently also, we all have observed one such event in Rishiganga Valley in Uttarakhand. There also the landslide was formed, a lake was formed behind the dam. So this is on the right side, you can see this is a river which is flowing through the fragile Himalayan geology in the Leh region. You can see that all the rock mass and the strata that is quite fragile. So because of this loose nature and absence of a controlled spillway, the landslide dams fail frequently, catastrophically. And breaching of such lakes with huge amount of accumulated water and sediment can cause devastating floods in the downstream areas. For an effective disaster management planning in case of such lake bursts, it is essential to have proper estimates of the lake volume behind the dam and the possible dam break flood magnitude, its attenuation, and the travel time along the reach. Now, this is a map which shows the landslide affected states. It is a landslide hazard map. And we can see from this map that the northwest and the northeast India, they are the regions of high vulnerability. And this Ladakh region, it is in this Jammu and Kashmir region. This is again a part of a high landslide vulnerable zone. Now coming to the study area, this is a map on the right hand side. It shows the catchment plan of river Indus up to Nimavasgo dam site. This is the main Indus river, this blue line, and this is a tributary of Indus, the Zanskar river, and the artificial lake was formed on this river at this point called Futkal. So you can see that the Ladakh, it is cut diagonally by the Indus, forming a huge basin, and Zanskar river, it is one of the main tributary of Indus river. It is a right bank tributary. Now this is another image which shows the confluence of Indus and Zanskar river. This is the main Indus, while on the right hand side we can see the Zanskar river. This is the confluence point, and NHPC's Nimavasgo power station, the dam, it is located about 20 kilometers downstream of this confluence. The reservoir of a dam, it extends almost up to this confluence, whereas the dam is located around 20 kilometers downstream. Now, I'll give you the brief description of the events that happened in the Zanskar Valley. A large landslide blocked the Futkal River in the Leh district, probably on 31st December 2014. Blockage of Futkal River by the landslide created a temporary lake behind the debris, thereby reducing the flow of the river in the downstream. The Nimavasgo power station, which I've explained, that is around 220 kilometers downstream of the location, the reduction in discharge was noticed due to the reduction in generation at our plant. So here I want to emphasize that just because of the presence of the dam in the downstream, because the generation got reduced, we could have an idea, we could apprehend that some kind of event has taken place in the upstream, because of which the discharge is reduced drastically. So just by the presence of a dam also, because we have hourly observations at a dam site, we record the inflow at an hourly interval. So when we notice that the discharge is drastically reduced, we could alert the dam authorities. The dam authorities, they alerted the state department also that some kind of event might have led to the blockage of river in the upstream. Now, this is an image showing the pre and post event. As per NRSA, we can see this is the Futkal River. It was flowing like this. Whereas when the blockage occurred, this kind of the landslide happened here, and the blockage, it blocked the river, and the flow in the downstream was reduced. Now, these are some of the dimensions of the landslide. This was the data provided by NRSC through satellite imagery. We can see in this thing, the blockage, it was around 600 meters in length, and the river width was about 90 meters here. This is the landslide. And this is an image of January 2015, whereas it is assumed that the landslide happened somewhere on 31st December 2014 or on 1st of January 2015. So this is, you can see a large amount of water accumulated behind the slide. These are again some of the images showing the landslide event. Now this is the blockage, and this is showing the width blockage. It is around 600 meters and 50-meter height from the riverbed. And this is 50 to 60 meters is the width of the landslide. And this you can say that this is the artificial lake which was formed. This was around 15 kilometers in length. And you can see it is all frozen because January the temperatures are quite negative there, and all this was frozen. So as per the preliminary analysis based on the dimensions of blockade, coupled with the differential discharge at our dam site due to this blockade, the estimated volume of the lake was worked out as 40 MCM during January 2015. As I've explained to you earlier, that when the discharge reduced at our dam site, we just saw the long-term average, what was the discharge during that period and the long-term data, and that was around 45 cubics. Whereas during January 2015, the discharge that was being observed, it was around 28 cubics. So this differential discharge at that our location, at the dam location, we estimated how much of volume could be stored behind that lake in that number of days. So it was estimated to be around 40 MCM. This is another aerial view of the blocked river. You can see this is from the taken all frozen it is and all ice, and it is very difficult to get to the site. Number of authorities, the NDMA, the State Disaster Management Authority, SASE people, they all went and to have an aerial recce of the survey of the area. Now, coming to the measures taken for disaster management in case of lake outburst, because these artificial lakes, it was they can burst anytime, and whenever these lake burst, they'll cause a large amount of water to flow in a very less time. So that had to be managed to protect the downstream population. So state administration sounded an alert in the area, and continuous monitoring of water flow and levels in the downstream reaches was ensured. Number of water level recorders were installed at various places so that we could monitor the water level on hourly interval, and automatically we had the data. A technical committee was constituted with members comprising from NHPC, BRO, Army, and they carried out an aerial survey, and they confirmed that there exists a reservoir in the upstream. And then NDMA, they deputed a team of experts from CWC, Survey of India, and SASE to visit the site. State government, they also identified critical areas where flooding could be anticipated, and they took adequate precautions. NHPC was constantly in touch with the district administration, and it was monitoring the water level of Jaskar River near its confluence with Indus, because our reservoir almost extended to that site. So we monitored our water level continuously at the end of our reservoir. And the reservoir level at our power station, it was brought down from FRL to MDDL so that we could accommodate the flood which came in case of the lake burst. Now coming to the analysis for estimating the dam breach flood. Whenever such kind of event occurs, we do the analysis at our end to have an idea of what amount of water will be reaching our dam site, and what will be the travel time, what will be the velocities and the water depths along the reach. So all this analysis was done using hydrodynamic modeling, and we did the following testing. The estimated volume of 40 MCM, the possible critical landslide breach analysis was done to estimate the flood peak, its travel time, the possible rise in water level at various locations along the reach. In March 2015, the study was again revised, considering a lake volume of 50 MCM, as the lake had not breached by that time, and the water level behind the lake was increasing. Since 2 months period had elapsed, the earlier volume of 40 MCM that was computed, estimated in January, and by March also the lake had not breached, the water level was rising. So we again estimated the volume based on that differential discharge, and with a volume of 50 MCM, the analysis was again revised. So the basic input data that we used in carrying out the study, because the reaches data, they are such inaccessible that it is not possible to go and measure or collect some kind of data. So the through satellites and various other empirical equations, the input data was estimated. The catchment area and hypsometry, it was estimated by GIS processing of Aster DM. The cross sections of Futkal and Zanskar rivers from landslide dam up to the confluence, they were also extracted from DM. And the breach parameters, which are the breach depth, breach width, and breach time, they were assumed on the basis of dimensions given by NRSC and also as per committee site visit and various other values which are used in similar studies. So the values that were assumed for the study, they were 40-meter breach depth, 60-meter was the breach width, and 1 hour time as the breach time. So using this is an image showing the river cross sections as read from Aster DM. You can see this is the main Indus River, and this is the Zanskar River, and this star point which is visible, this is the location where the landslide occurred. And if you can see the green lines, these are the cross section cut lines. The cross sections are read from this point up to this confluence, and it was around 200 kilometers this distance. They were read at an interval of 2 kilometers. So around 100 sections were read from Aster DM, and they were then used for hydrodynamic modeling. Now, this is the bed profile from the landslide dam up to the Indus-Zanskar confluence. This was the bed profile you can see. And the average slope in this reach, that was around 1 in 250. And these all sections were used, and then the study was carried out. Now, okay. Now, these are the results of hydrodynamic modeling. We estimated what would be the peak discharge that will be released at the site of the lake burst, and then it was routed to the reach of 200 kilometers, and at every 10 kilometers, this is a table which shows what will be the discharge reaching, what will be the rise in water level, and what would be the travel time. So we could estimate that a discharge of around 2100 cubic would be reaching at our location, at our dam location, in case the lake bursts, with a travel time of approximately 10 hours. Like after 10 hours, the lake, when it bursts, after 10 hours, that flood would be reaching our dam side. And you can see the rise in water level along the reaches that varied from around 2 meters to 10 to 12 meters, depending upon the geometry of the river reach. So these are the flood hydrographs, which shows the peak discharge, how it travels in the valley, the location. This is again the pictorial representation of the table that I showed earlier. Now at lakeside, it was estimated the discharge was around 9600 cubics, whereas at our dam location, it was around 2140 cubics. And the travel time was approximately 10 hours. This is another plot showing the travel time and the possible rise in water level with respect to the distance from the blockade site. We can see, as shown in that table earlier also, the travel time was around 10 hours up to our dam site, which is around 200 kilometers, whereas the water depth that varied from 2 meters to 10 to 12 meters along the reach, depending upon the river geometry. Now we come to the measures taken to minimize damages in case of lake burst. So we at NHPC, we adopted all possible measures on a dam site so that we could accommodate as much as the flood along with the mud and debris flow we could in our reservoir, so that the damage in the downstream could be minimized. Because in the upstream reaches, there was not much of habitation, only there were some bridges and settlements along the river banks. Otherwise, habitation in the downstream, there was a lot of habitation in the Leh Valley. So that could be minimized just because of the presence of our Nimavasco Dam. So in the eventuality of outburst of this lake, there would have been sudden increase in discharge at Nimavasco Power Station. Therefore, suitable reservoir operation guidelines were being followed at the power station. We were constantly monitoring the levels, and we were constantly updating our operation guidelines, like at what level should we maintain, at what time should we deplete the reservoir, what would be the rate of depletion. We were managing all these things through the site, and we were in constant touch with them. The FRL and MDDL of the Nimavasco Dam, they are 3093 meter and 3090 meter. Basically, there was a 3 meter difference between the FRL and MDDL. And as per the latest survey available at that time, the live capacity between these two levels, that was around 9.67 MCM. So 9.7 MCM capacity was made available, like we were maintaining our reservoir at MDDL, which is 3090 meters, so that around 10 MCM of volume could be accommodated easily between these two levels also. So the power station was advised to maintain the reservoir at MDDL. As a precautionary measure, NHPC, along with local administration, had been monitoring the water level at various locations ever since the news of blockage first appeared. In the month of February, an expert committee comprising members from CWC, NHPC, Survey of India, SASE, BRO, and the local administration, they tried to create a channel through the landslide blockade to drain out the water, so that in a controlled manner, some amount of water is continuously released and not much of a havoc is created when the lake bursts. So it was finally they were able to create a small channel in March 2015 after a series of blasting and manual digging. This you can see in the image. This is the accumulated water, and a small channel could be created. It was not possible to do it completely, but still due to a series of blasting and this thing, little amount of water started flowing through this lake. This is an image of 24th March. So in the end of March, some amount of water started flowing from the lake. Now we come to the actual event of lake burst and flood management at NHPC's Nimabasco Dam. This is a pictorial view of the Nimabasco Dam. This is a dam having 5 spillway gates of 7 meter by 9 meter. The crest elevation is 3065 meter. The dam top is 3094 meters. These are some of the parameters. With FRL and MDL, I've already explained you, there was a 3 meter difference between FRL and MDL, having a capacity of around 9.7 MCM. And the reservoir level length is around 18 kilometers. It is almost extended up to the Indus and Zanskar confluence, as I had shown you in the picture earlier. This is just an upstream view of the reservoir. We have 3 number of intake gates. Now, during summer, when the temperature started rising to about 15 degrees, due to the pressure induced by melting of snow, water finally started coming across the channel, which was created earlier. On the morning of 7th May at about 5 AM, the lake appeared to have bursted and water started coming out of the lake in an uninterrupted manner. The district administration sounded an alert in the area and the villages were asked to move to safer places in view of the possibility of heavy flow of water from the lake. NHPC also sounded alert in the areas falling in the vicinity of the dam and alerted people living near the banks to move to safer places. The special teams were also sent in the downstream areas. We alerted the people to move to the higher elevation so that not much of damage is created. And the inflow of the river, it was closely monitored at a dam control room. We were telephonically through satellite, we were in touch with the authorities in the upstream and were monitoring what was the water level, what is the various depth which is being observed. Round the clock information was being obtained at the dam site from various upstream locations in Padam, Chilling and Sangam. These are some of the important locations in the Zanskar Valley. So round the clock information was obtained from these points. And it was observed that water level at some locations rose up to 10 meters due to sudden burst of the lake. As we had estimated in our study also, I had shown you the table earlier, the water level, the water depth at some places that was estimated around 10 to 12 meters. And it was seen that when the actual event happened, almost similar kind of results were observed, like the water level rose up to 10 meters at some places. As a precautionary measure, the level was kept low so as to accommodate the water coming from Zanskar River. The power station was shut down at 2 PM because we had an idea of the travel time. We knew that the flood would be reaching after about 10 hours. So the lake burst in the morning at 5 AM. So at around 2 PM, keeping in an idea of the travel time, we shut our power plant at that time. Before that, we were continuing the generation. So we can see that by doing this study, this kind of analysis, we did not need to shut our power station immediately when we had the news of lake burst coming. We could keep on generating up to some time, depending upon the travel time. And this helped us a lot that we could not lose our generation also, and then we could manage the flood also. Both things we were able to do. And the complete system was kept on backup. Keeping in view the estimated volume and the lead time of 10 hours, it was decided to lower the reservoir level by 3 meters below MDDL, which provided a capacity of around 16 MCM. As earlier I told you that between those 3 meters, the FRL and MDDL, the capacity was around 9.7 MCM. And we knew that what volume could be, we could store. So we further lowered our reservoir about 3 meters and it created a capacity of 16 MCM. So the peak inflow of about 2757 cubic received at our dam was moderated to around 1650 cubic, which did not cause much damage in the downstream area. So we had estimated, like I showed, around a flood of around 2100 cubic, whereas actually the observed flood, it was around 2700 cubic, which was quite reasonably well within the limits. And it was moderated to 1650 cubic. So the damage, much of the damage was controlled in the downstream area. This is another satellite image showing the location, landslide location before and after the lake burst. You see there, it was no flow here on 25th April, whereas on 8th of May, the lake burst and the channelized flow of water started. Now this is a plot showing the outflow hydrograph and the reservoir levels. You can see the reservoir level we maintained. We further lowered it 3 meters below the MDDL, as I explained you earlier. So the level, it was maintained around 3087 meters, and it started rising as the water started coming. And we went up to around 3092.3 meters. And this is the outflow hydrograph. So the flood of around 2700 cubic, which was at our dam site we received, we moderated to about 1600 cubic. And a volume which is stored was around 15.6 mcm of volume we stored in our reservoirs. This is an important aspect, this figure, that storing this much amount of water in the reservoir, along with all the debris flow, all the mud flow, and all that material that was coming along with the river discharge. We all stored it in a reservoir, depleting our reservoir capacity at the cost of reduction in our reservoir capacity, just to save the downstream areas from devastation. So the total volume that was received was around 4950 mcm, 49.8 mcm. That was from the lake, and we stored around 16 mcm in the reservoirs and released about 34 mcm. So the flood was moderated to a large extent. Now this is an image which showing the damages to the bridges. Many bridges were damaged along the reach. Now, effectiveness of advanced disaster management at our dam site. Due to regular monitoring and advanced warning system in place, there was no casualty. No loss of human life has been reported. Only inevitable damage to the low and small bridges and few small buildings near the riverbanks was observed. Nimavasco Dam helped in absorption of flood volume to an extent so as to pass a safe discharge in the downstream areas. It is worthwhile to mention here that during the cloudburst of August 2010 in Leh, a discharge of almost similar magnitude, which was around 2500 cubic, was observed at our dam site. Our dam was during the construction. The dam was under construction at that time, and this cloudburst event, it caused a widespread damage in the areas around the project. The debris and the mud flows generated during this cloudburst caused extensive damage to life, property, and infrastructure. I would like to highlight here that it is not only the water inflow, the water discharge which causes the damage. This debris and the mud flows that are generated during these such kind of events, they cause a greater damage. As recently also we could see in the Rishi Ganga project, Rishi Ganga Valley River, the debris and the mud flows were so huge that it caused a lot of damage. More than the water discharge, this thing caused a lot of damage. And we accumulated all these debris in our reservoir. Due to this lake breach event also, the mud flows and debris accumulated boulders, trees as the flow traveled along the river and caused major destruction rather than the flooding itself. The flooding itself did not cause much damage, but all these accumulated things, they caused much greater damage. So in the reach between the lake site and the Nimavasco Dam. By absorbing the flood volume at a Nimavasco Dam, a major portion of the accompanying debris and mud flow was accumulated at the cost of loss in a reservoir storage capacity, thereby averting a major disaster in the downstream areas and villages. So just because a dam was there, which had sufficient reservoir capacity, we could accommodate all these things. At the cost of our reservoir capacity, we lost a lot of reservoir capacity after this event, but still we could avert the damages. So I would like to come to the conclusion now. To reduce risk posed by breaching of such landslide dams, it becomes important to monitor the impounded lake continuously and assess parameters such as accumulated volume and maximum discharge released in the downstream along with its travel time. So whenever such kind of events occurs, it is very important that we monitor this thing and we start assessing what would be the volume, what would be the maximum discharge, so that we can plan our disaster management accordingly. Remote sensing techniques using satellite images, they were helpful in monitoring. And the flood peak due to the landslide burst and its travel time, estimated through 1D hydrodynamic modeling using river cross sections from open source VM, provided a reasonable assessment of the situation, which helped in formulation of an effective reservoir operation plan for passing the flood safely in the downstream. So this helped us. We were already having an idea of what will be the travel time, after how much time and how much magnitude of flood would be reaching. So we could formulate our reservoir operation plan accordingly. We could plan in advance that, okay, we'll be maintaining the reservoir at this level, that much flood would be accumulated. So all the damages in the downstream, they were averted. We could manage that flood that is to be released to a dam. The estimated peak discharge by NHPC of about 2200 cumecs at the dam site after a lag of about 10 hours was reasonably close to the actual discharge observed at the dam after the lake burst. And the Nimobasco Dam accommodated the large inflow released due to the lake burst by absorbing about 30% of the flood volume and 40% reduction in the flood peak. So this is a big thing. We could accommodate around 30% of the volume and 40% reduction in the flood peak. The discharge downstream of the dam was regulated through gates in a controlled manner, and the river water level was closely monitored so as to avert damages in the downstream areas which are densely populated. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah, the last presentation of Ms. Bharati Gupta was very interesting and replete with knowledge. Last minute technical snag has made it impossible for Dr. Bernhard Baker to join us, for which we are all very sorry. In this total session, there were 3 presentations, one by me, Vivek Kapadia, that was on the Mahi Basin's case study as a balancing exercise as to how to make the base flow operative without compromising the storage potential of a particular dam and re-enliven the river basin. The second was the presentation made by Dr. A.K. Singh. He focused on the Tehri case study, and he showed us how to handle the extreme events by proper reservoir operation. And the third presentation was from NHPC made by Ms. Bharati Gupta. She actually enlightened us with a actual case study of the analysis of artificial lake on the Putkal River and Nimobasco Dam, synchronized management of the 2 water bodies in the extreme event. So all 3 presentations have provided us a very good outcome that now the engineers have started coming into accord with the environmental issues, and they have started entering into handling the extreme events. And I think that is going to be a point of influence for the opinions of the environmentalists as well as the technocrats. So with this great deliberation, I end up this presentation with a manifestation of gratefulness to all the speakers and the audience as well for patiently hearing all the speakers. Over to Mr. Sunil Sharma for kindly ending up the session.
Sir, I am Ravnath Sharma.
Pardon?
Sir, I am Ravnath Sharma. I am ready to give the presentation now.
Yeah, please. If you are ready, kindly share with us your screen. I'm sorry. I could not see your presence. Yeah. Please, Raghunath Sharma Sahab are requested kindly to share your screen.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Sir, good morning to everybody. Sir, my presentation is evaluating methods for estimation of evaporation major reservoirs, specific reference to Srisailam project. India possesses only 4% of average runoff of the rivers and sustains 16% of world population. The surface, as per CWC study, the surface water requirement is around 1093 billion cubic meter by 2025. But actual assessment available water resource is around 1123. But more river basins as of now become a deficit. Especially is the lower Krishna's river basin is already a deficit basin. Further, I want to tell that the post-green revolution era, in India, agriculture has grown tremendously, and as well as water consumption also very increased more. So it is imperative to use more water-saving techniques in agriculture, and also reduce the water losses in irrigation system for effective utilization of water. So evaporation is a major component of water loss in the irrigation system. The main factors affecting the evaporation from open water surface can be broadly divided into two groups, that is meteorological factors and surface factors. Again, meteorological factors can be again grouped as energy and aerodynamic variables, either of which it may be rate limiting. The energy is needed to change water from the liquid to vapor phase in nature. This is largely supplied by a solar and a terrestrial radiation. Aerodynamic variables such as wind speed at the surface and vapor pressure difference control the rate of transfer of the evaporated water vapor. The size and shape of evaporating surface also extremely important, specifically in arid and semi-arid areas. As about the lower Krishna sub-basin, most of the cases in Telangana, our state falls under semi-arid area. As the quantum evaporation losses is more in reservoirs, and correct estimation of evaporation loss is necessary. The formation of reliable or acceptable value of evaporation requires either detailed instrumentation or a judicious application of climate and physical data. The methods for estimating the evaporation. The methods in use to determine the evaporation from open water surface are storage method, mass transfer method, energy budget method, and measuring in open pan and correlating pan to natural water surface evaporation, empirical formless graphical methods. Graphical methods like is a coaxial Kohler method. The most commonly used method for measuring evaporation is by a pan evaporometer. It's a very simple method of measurement. The measurement of evaporation from pan is easiest, and is to noted that the pan is generally kept at the dam side. Since water spread area of reservoir is very large and has high degree of spatial variation, the pan data would not be a correct interpretation of the evaporation in reservoir. So my study area is a Srisailam reservoir, evaporation measurement in the Srisailam reservoir area. This Srisailam reservoir dam is constructed across Krishna river in Kannur district of Andhra Pradesh state, and it is constructed in a deep ghat Nallamala hills. The project is located at the border between the Kannur and Mahbubnagar. In the project report, the depth of annual evaporation was approved by Planning Commission is 72.4 inch, that is around about 1800 mm. The evaporation loss 33 TMC was calculated based on the assumption that at the end of each water year, the MDDL of 854 in the Srisailam reservoir, the Srisailam reservoir MDDL is 854 feet and FRL is 885 feet, and will maintain, and the reservoir will maintain a carryover stage also in good years. This Krishna Water Dispute Tribunal, who has allocated the river shades among the riparian states, they allotted 33 TMC as the evaporation loss in Srisailam reservoir. So at present, actually, originally the Srisailam project is considered as a hydroelectric scheme. Now it was become a multi-purpose project. Projects such as Teluganga, Handri Nivas, Sujala Sruvanti, Galeru Nagala Sujala Sruvanti, Velugonda, these are all constructed right side of the portion of the Srisailam reservoir. Whereas Palamur Rangareddy LS, Dindi LS, Mahatma Gandhi Kalagurtha LS, MRB SRL base sequence were taken from Srisailam reservoir, portion of the reservoir on the left side part of the reservoir. Now the water demand under this Srisailam reservoir is around 350 TMC now proposed. All these projects are going under construction. So I'm showing a pictorial view of Srisailam reservoir water spread area. We can see this here is the dam location. This is the water spread area. So most of the water spread area is only behind this area. And this is the Kannur station is here. IMD observatory station is located in this here, in this place. This Srisailam reservoir can be classified as a deep water body. As I have said, actually the Srisailam reservoir FRL is 885, that is 269 meters. When it comes to water gas withdrawn from the reservoir up to almost most of the year. Even if they went up to 709 feet, but up to most of the year it goes to 760 feet. Somewhere comes to 216 meters. So it's almost 55 meters deep of water body. So in this our study, we have used the energy budget methods for estimation of evaporation. The energy in the that budget methods are Penman, Kohler, developed by the Penman, Kohler, and Van Bevel and Penmont are used. The evaporation was done, measurement was done in fortnightly. But for that data, we have used this meteorological data of Cornell IMD Observatory, which is located in the upstream of the reservoir with an altitude at the level of 281 meter. I want to say here, the Srisham reservoir level, FRL level is 269. Generally, this open panometers will be provided at the top one level of the reservoirs. It's about around 3 meters above the reservoir FRL. Daily data series of minimum temperature, maximum temperature, dry bulb temperature, wet bulb temperature, station pressure, wind speed for the period of 1984 to 1999 we were using. The daily data series is transformed to fortnightly basis for analysis. The data observed in condensation is transformed so as to represent the condition at the reservoir. That means first what we have done is at the IMD station Kurnool is situated at the altitude of 281, but we have taken data analysis was carried out for the 15 years from 1984 to 1999, that is on fortnightly basis. So we have the data of reservoir levels each fortnight of the Srisham reservoir at the project location. We have used that location. We have first adjusted the time, the maximum minimum temperature to the reservoir levels. First adjusted the reservoir levels. Afterwards, we have worked out all constants like pressure, latent heat of vaporization, density, all were transformed to the reservoir level. And wind speed also observed at station is shifted to the reservoir level by using logarithmic law. It was well established that logarithmic law follows. And we have worked out a 2 meter height above the reservoir level and 10 meter above the reservoir level in dynamic nature. The constants such as specific heat, latent heat evaporation, and density are estimated based on the temperature and elevation. The measured pan evaporation at IMD Observatory Kurnool station has also utilized to derive pan to versus reservoir coefficient in seasonal wise, like monsoon due to September post monsoon, winter and summer. In the present study, the correction factor 1.144 for the mesh cover on pan has considered separately. After observed that we have given correction to the for mesh, then provided over the open pan. So I was going to detail discuss about this Penman method. This Penman method is widely what we call it as a combination method. It will use evaporation from open water surfaces. This Penman combined the mass transfer and energy budget approach in single equation. He eliminated the requirement of surface temperature for the evaporation mm per day. This is a Penman is a classical method. Before the Penman, actually water surface temperature is compulsory required to estimate the evaporation. But Penman developed an equation such that without using water surface temperature, we can use only standard climatic data. We can work out the evaporation from the Penman method. This Van Bevel method is again modified the Penman equation and is assumed the adiabatic condition, that is transfer coefficient for heat equals to the transfer coefficient for vapor. What he has combined the energy balance and the water vapor pressure and sensible heat to form an equation to estimate the equation for evaporation, for net radiation, as well as wind profiles, and again smooth roughness coefficient using the smooth roughness of the wind also. Kohler method. This Kohler is taken actually operative studies of Lake Hepner, the operative studies, and he correlated the pan evaporation data for estimation of lake evaporation. What he concluded that his main intention was to develop a estimation of lake evaporation from the pan evaporation data. Again, I will come to Penman-Monteith method. This method allows the adjustment of amount of energy available for storage of evaporation based allows the adjustment to the amount of energy available for evaporation based on changes in storage within the water body. The changes in storage of water body is central to open water evaporation, and it affects the water surface temperature and thereby the rate of evaporation. This adjustment of storage energy is only possible after knowing the water surface temperature. Either it is to be estimated or it is to be observed. But in this our model study, we have estimated this water surface temperature using the concept based of the model of equilibrium temperature. Again, this equilibrium temperature it depends upon the time constant. Again, depend time constant. It depends on the time constant. The depth of water body affects its potential to store. There is a change in okay, results. So the fortnightly evaporation data for the period 1984-99 is computed by the above method to arrive monthly operation and a corresponding pan coefficient for different seasons. The Central Water Commission suggested annual pan coefficient is 0.7. But the regression analysis for the evaporation spectrum by different methods with reference to the observed pan values is carried out. The Kohler method with an annual pan coefficient of 0.68 has the highest regression value, that is R-square value of 0.94, which conforms to the recommendation made by the earlier nation strategy for evaporative studies under arid and semi-arid conditions in Tawa Reservoir, which was situated in Madhya Pradesh. FAO suggested Penman-Monteith is the best method for estimation of reference evapotranspiration for semi-arid arid regions, but the adjusted regression coefficient adjusted here somewhat and eliminated the extreme values. Adjusted regression coefficient value obtained as 0.66 in the analysis, because the low correlation may be mainly due to evaporation occurring lag period due to storage heat component advected into the water body. It may also be due to change in heat storage of water body, which is a function of reservoir elevation and change in water temperature. As the Sishan reservoir is a deep water body, the heat stored in the water body affects monthly values of evaporation varies from monthly values due to heat storage water stored in the water body. For more accuracy, the physical measurement of water is essential. When you observe this analysis of this evaporation for different methods in season wise, we can see that polar method we got good regression, whereas Penman got less regression, but even it almost confirms both in winter and summer. This Kohler and Penman-Monteith method each relate to each other. When it comes to monsoon and post-monsoon, due to storage heat of water body in deep water bodies, the evaporation takes place in the lag period that is affected. It shows in the monsoon and post-monsoon season. So again, this Penman method, the main factor is albedo. This is a short-wave reflectance. It is potentially time variant, but in this estimated, it is considered as a 0.08. Generally, it varies from 0.0 to 0.20. What is 0.08? What we consider as a clear water, generally the river water, and is a turbidity in nature during monsoon and post-monsoon. So it's a timely variant. So it is suggested to, that's why it is suggested to install measuring devices like pyranometer to measure the radiation, anemometer, measure the wind velocity, albedometer, and water temperature meter in major reservoirs for accurate estimation of evaporation by energy methods. After obtaining the measured data, an accurate pan coefficient can be established, which will be useful in assessment of evaporation of other major, medium, and minor reservoir and tanks which are located in the climatic condition. That means shallow reservoirs or deep water reservoirs. Even though the study is only deep water study reservoir. And you can conclude the annual evaporation of 1839 and 72.4 each was considered in the project report of CCLM. Now the estimated evaporation by this Kohler method is 1655 mm, which results about saving of 10% in the evaporation rate itself. Further, during the course of this project, CCLM project was originally considered as a hydroelectric scheme, but later it was confirmed transferred to the multi-purpose project, and almost 10 major projects are constructed. Lift irrigation schemes, tunnels are constructed in the foreshore of the reservoir, and again the every year the water surface area falls from MDDL to FRL to MDDL condition. So, and again during the last 30 years, the storage loss also decreased by 30%. And even in water spread area, suppose at NDDL level of 834 feet, it was reduced by 27%. So the loss in storage and reduction in water spread area due to sedimentation and increased water demands will lead to a considerable reduction in the operation loss, whose quantum would definitely be less than 33 TMC. The savings, the secured operational losses may be allocated to irrigation purposes, out of which proper demands with priority in basin needs of Krishna basin. I want to say that Government of India is more towards improving the extensive and intensive irrigation. When we want to make an extensive and intensive irrigation, the accountability of water usage is very, very important, and reliable estimation of evaporation is very important. That's why I'm suggesting to go for compulsory proper utilization of instrumentation to measure the important parameters which can be helpful to make estimation of operation in all the reservoir water bodies, either major, medium, and minor. Thank you very much for giving time to me.
Thank you, Sri Raghunath Sharma sir.
Sir, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And your presentation was highly knowledgeable as well as experimental. And that is how you have concluded as to how important is the computation of the evaporation for any reservoir by citing the real world example of Srisailam. And I think we are very much benefited from your study, especially all the reservoirs in the tropical countries do require seriously to consider the evaporation, and accordingly we can make the water use plan. So I think here all the speakers have made very good presentations. Today 4 presentations we have done, and that is how we have served to a great extent the dam engineering, especially through the reservoir operation studies. So here I'm handing over for the valedictory Mr. Sunil Sharma for the ending up of the presentation formally. Sunil Sharma sir, could you please formally conclude the session with the vote of thanks? I think we are missing Sunil Sharma. So on behalf of Central Board of Irrigation and Power and Icold, I conclude this technical session on the reservoir operation management and optimization with thanks to all the speakers whosoever have made their presentation over here, and all the participants who have patiently heard all the presentations with keen interest. Thank you so much and goodbye.
बंद कर दो।